What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Masculine Health Solutions podcast, where I am joined by Peter Krastev, who's making his way out of the UK once again. Peter, how are you today, sir?
I'm very well, CJ, very well. Good to be back here as well. Thanks for the listeners. And it was great last time. We received a lot of support and a lot of likes, comments. So it was really cool. We had a really nice chat. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Well, it's interesting because I find that there's certain people that just kind of gravitate towards each other, and I feel like you and I just kind of came together because we're kind of on the same page in regards to a lot of things. And I kind of feel like nowadays, we see a lot of, odd things kind of coming out, we see the disrespect for children. And one of those big things that comes to my mind is what a masculine leader really looks like in these times. And that's the one thing we were kind of, briefly discussing off air here about how we wanted to get into this topic. So the one question that I want to pose to you and just ask in regards to that is, what does a masculine leader look like? What would that archetype look like in times where it's changing, and even back in the past? Like, what would it kind of look? What does it look like from your perspective? And what are the things that you think we should all be kind of working on in regards to that?
What? That's quite a question, isn't it? It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
right, throw me in the deep. Everybody's going to watch me now. What is he going to say? Well, where should we start from? I mean, it all comes down to a person, a man who accepts his responsibilities, right? And he
Hmm.
does. I think that's probably the bottom line of it, where everything builds up from there. It's gotta be somebody with great values. Myself, as a Christian, I tend to believe that the Christian values are good, but everybody can live by good values and have a good,
Hmm.
decent character. And he has to accept his responsibilities, first of all. If he's to lead, he has to show how it's done. And I think probably you do the same. I do it in my coaching. I have this group of guys, and um, they tend to get inspired by the fact that I'm living a similar life to them. I'm also having a business. I'm also having my body and relationships
Hmm.
and things to handle, and just showing them by example that we handle everything without compromising on our qualities, our values, and just getting the job done, man. And it's not easy. It's a process. It's not like everybody can just jump in and start handling his life right away from the start if he hasn't done it, for a while. It takes time to pick up on all aspects of your life, but eventually it, that's what the leader needs to be doing. First of all, show lead
Hmm.
by example. And I'm probably not the best person to speak about leaders because there's so many great leaders out there, but there's a lot of qualities for a good leader. What do you think would they be? I mean, if
I think
we got
to
this
your
back
point,
and forth.
yeah, to your point, no, in regards to that, it's kind of like the way I kind of see it, you're right. It's the exemplary side of things where it's like you can't just talk about it. I think talk is cheap. We come on this and obviously we talk about different things, but I really feel that one of the biggest things that's missing is a lot of people that will say things, don't follow through with what they say. A lot of people that you may come across in this lifetime are going to say certain things that sound really nice. Then when you look at their lives, you're like, interesting. This guy's not following through with the things that he's saying. It's kind of his relationship's a mess. His body's out of whack. He drinks every night. But you're talking to me about how, you got to be strong and follow your goals and follow your dreams. So to your point, I think a leader follows through with what he says and everything. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to live by now that I've realized is one of those big factors that's missing out in my life too, in certain factors. Like I was telling you off air, I'm trying to get more structure in my life in regards to how I go about the social media side of things, right? And it's kind of like, yeah, I said I was going to do something, but I didn't have the structure. So it's kind of like now, if I'm going to lead by example and show my kids and my wife or whatever that I'm actually going to follow through with this plan, I got to break it down in smaller steps and say, like, okay, you know what? It's not that I'm not following through, but I don't have structure. That's my issue. I think everybody can look at their own lives and say, hey, you know what? I need more structure here. I need this broken down in a way that makes sense. and then you follow through with it, and then you almost from that grow as far as confidence goes. Because I find that what happens is when we follow through with what we want to do, your confidence grows, which again, it's kind of like now your leadership qualities are going to increase because of that. Everything just kind of follows in tandem. So, I mean, from the way that I kind of see it is that if you want to grow as a leader, you got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, where am I failing? Because we can talk all day about, things that make us good leaders, but until you actually execute, I find that, you know what, your leadership skills are always gonna kind of be in question. Because if you're not really following through with it, it just kind of words talk is cheap, right? So that's my biggest thing in regards to that as far as being a leader goes.
Yeah, yeah, it's all valid points. We talk about these things, me and you, and I agree. The, we tend to talk about the best leader now and trying to picture what the best leader would look like.
Yeah.
I don't want to, by doing that, to discredit somebody who is not there but is still a great leader on his own a level. Everybody can lead people on the who want to follow him.
Hmm.
The topic is a masculine leader, and yeah, uh, it's got to be somebody as well that really covers all aspects of life, because what we see very often, especially in social media, is a lot of gurus and leaders. They're good at one thing, for example, in business or in sports, but when you look at their lifestyle and when you take a closer look at their life, you understand that some things are really messed up and you really don't want to be in their shoes. And to achieve great results in business or fitness, they often sacrifice one or the other quite a lot, um, which in my opinion, that masculinity is missing in there. Is especially in business. I see it often with business teachers, sales gurus, people who know their craft in business, and they teach other people how to make a living, and especially how to have a great life. But the reality is their life sucks because they're probably living somewhere, you know, without a family, because they failed to have one, because they put too much attention on the business side, or they're too overweight, they're struggling, battling with these kind of health problems. you know
Yeah.
we, it's everybody has to find his own leaders. But if it comes, if I have to pick my own a leader that I want to follow, somebody that inspires me, I look at people who manage everything at once, and they're very rare. Not easy to find somebody who's got a good family, happy family, visibly with the kids, good progressing business, great physique and health, and overall fulfilled life. Very few people actually get to that point where they can manage everything, and that's something I'm looking for. If I'm looking for a leader for
Yeah.
myself, and I actually have like one or two like this in my life, and I know a lot of people. I'm on socials all the time.
Yeah.
I can hardly see somebody that I actually genuinely think, yeah, this guy is really
No,
doing it.
100%. Because I mean, what we're talking about here is basically the perfect archetype. And to me, perfection doesn't exist on this planet. Everybody has their struggles and everybody has their issues that, we got to come across and obviously deal with. But to me, it's interesting that you said that. You're right. It's kind of like you want to find that perfect balance. And I kind of feel that that's what this life is all about. Is kind of finding that balance to really say, hey, you know what? You kind of made it. You figured it out. You've realized how to master the game of life, and you found that perfect balance where everything kind of works out smoothly to a degree, not perfectly, because obviously, you exist here, and there's always going to be different things and different issues that come up. But one of the things that I found interesting is that, you basically structured it where it's like everything kind of falls into place. If you can name one person off of the top of your head that, like let's say somebody that's on socials, like somebody that you see that has it pretty much all put together from your perspective, who would that be and why?
He's going to now listen and I'm gonna get super embarrassed. But I've told him that he's pretty much like an idol to me more than once, and this is somebody who inspired me. Uh, he's not on the list of the financially most successful people, but he's not doing bad. He's doing
Hmm.
very well. And by the look of it, this man shows some insane qualities. I met him in person once. We had a coffee, and just the energy around him, everything was solid. I was like, okay, yeah, we're talking here. It's a real deal. It was unreal. It's different type of person. You don't see them on the streets. And his name is Dean Hammond. He's
Hmm.
also a coach. He's coaching coaches, coaching athletes. He's in the British Army, and there's quite a long list of things that he does. But he's an amazing human being, and from what I've seen, is he's got a beautiful family. He's a very genuine person. He really cares for people. He has a great success with his business, with his clients, with his physique, and he enjoys the whole thing.
Hmm.
He's so energized. When sometimes I try to list the things that he manages to do at once, and he, it's insane. How is he handling everything at once? And that's what I'm trying to do as well. To handle everything at once, and it's a process. You talk about the balance. A balance is kind of the goal where we want to get, I think, where we want to have the whole thing. But most of us can't just jump into balance. In fact, we have to get off balance quite a lot, and
Yeah.
maybe often, just to learn the things. You gotta get good at stuff, and it takes some obsession. You have to go to extremes, and there is competition around the world. Whatever you're doing, and it's not only you. You gotta get good enough so you can be noticed, fulfilled, and make the things work for yourself. It always takes a lot of sacrifices. Eventually, the balance, as we call it, I think we find it when we reach something close to peak performance. And I actually teach this to my clients. So, in order for us, what I believe is, in order for us to manage the whole life and achieve that balance where we have the whole structure of happy family, happy business, happy, good physique, healthy body, and you know good trajectory of life overall, we
Hmm.
have to become so good that we can actually manage the same way that, as described, Dean is managing his life. We have to become good, and that's a skill that comes with practice. Usually, if ever most people take a list now and they assess every area of their life. We start with the fitness, with the business, or with the spiritual life, or whatever it is, the relationships, the family, the kids, and they list every area. How well are they doing? Where are they doing well, and where are they doing bad? And list all the points. They will
Hmm.
realize there are things that are dragging them down in different areas. So we need to get to the point where there's nothing dragging down anything. We manage everything at once, and that doesn't happen by chance. Doesn't happen by luck. That happens through accepting the responsibilities, accepting who we are, and what we have to do. Not just going with the flow, and allowing to be guided by this community and peers and social media. People will always say, take it easy here, take it easy there. No, if you actually want to achieve that peak in your life,
Yeah.
you have to be the person who is driving the whole thing, and to take it there. It's not going to happen by chance, by luck, just by finding the perfect job, or finding the perfect girlfriend, or just going to the gym every day. You actually have to manage everything. And when you when you think about it, what is everything? Usually it's quite a lot, and most people are scared. Everybody has different goals, but for me personally, to manage everything, that is something extraordinary. It is very hard. It's very hard. That means real high performance every single day. High performance. Even I'm reaching a peak performance, a state where I love to stay the most, but it's very hard to get there, and that's where I get really the balance. What I call peak performance is the area where there's nothing dragging it down, And then
Mhm.
instead of trying to fix things every single day, instead of trying to fix that and fix that so everything starts working better and better, you actually have already made everything work good, and now you're trying to improve so you can
Mhm.
actually go higher and higher. And that's the peak. This is the peak, and you just want to move forward.
That's
And
super
it's a constant
interesting.
growth. Yeah, constant
Yeah.
growth, and you can't stop. It's nothing like you're getting there and you have it. This is you have to learn to get there and you have to learn to stay there, and that's almost impossible for a lot of people. Unless they accept the sheer responsibilities that they have to handle, the things that they have to do. They have to accept and go full in if they want to achieve this lifestyle. If they don't want to, nobody blames them, because we live in a world where that's not required. You can have a pretty comfortable life without even doing this. But if we talk about peak
Peak
leaders and
performance, peak
masculinity,
leadership.
we go hardcore, man. That's what we're all
Yeah.
about.
No, but you're totally right because that kind of falls into the whole concept of becoming comfortable in the uncomfortable until you become comfortable in the uncomfortable, and all of a sudden now it's like, well, I gotta look for discomfort again. And that's it almost seems oxymoronic, but it's one of those things that needs to happen in order for you to grow and to kind of get to that next step. And I totally agree with you because one of the things you said earlier that I think is 100% true is you almost become in order to get to that next level, I find that you almost have to become obsessive and become completely unbalanced, to find that balance. And that's the crazy thing that a lot of people don't realize. And I completely agree with you. It's kind of like if you're building something, you got to dedicate a lot more time, a lot more effort, more energy, more money than you probably thought you needed to. Like even for myself, or when I did the bodybuilding competition, like I was telling you, man, it's kind of like I came in with a certain mindset that, you know what, I only need to do X, Y, Z. I only need this much energy. I should be good. And then what happens is you're in the situation itself, and all of a sudden it becomes a lot more difficult, a lot more treacherous. And the one thing that I found in the last 2 months is kind of like you become obsessive. You become obsessive because you want to succeed. You want to do the best that you possibly can. However, you're 100% right. There's a lot of people that could just show up and do whatever it is that you're supposed to do, whether it's the event, whether it's life, whether it's some other competition that you're just kind of lackluster. You're like, meh, I'll go in there, I'll do the basics. I may do okay. I don't really care. I just want to do it, and just say that I did it, but not really put the effort in. And you'll show up, sure, to whatever the competition is, if it's life or whatever the case may be. And you can do it from a very comfortable state, but you'll probably do awful. Probably won't be proud of what you put in. And you know what? Your life is going to be a reflection of that. So I completely agree with you. And you saying that, yeah, you kind of got to get obsessive a little bit. And it's funny too, because I was just listening to I can't remember if it was a podcast or if I was reading an article where it was talking about how a lot of CEOs where they asked them like, "Hey, just do what you love and just work hard." What people don't realize too, because what the host was breaking down is how these people are obsessive about what they love. They love it to the point where they go to sleep thinking about it, they wake up thinking about it, they do the work in regards to it. They're eating lunch thinking about how it could be better. And a perfect example of that was Kobe Bryant, where he talked about how the whole world served his purpose in him getting better at basketball when he was playing basketball. And he would look at different things and say, hey, how can I apply this to the game that I'm playing? And I think a lot of us, myself included, at times, we can go back to comfort. It's more comfortable to just kind of hang out, not think about my real goals, and just kind of brush it off to the side because I'm comfortable. I think comfort, though, is the enemy of success. Because if you want to be successful in this life, you gotta get a little bit uncomfortable. You gotta go through waters you didn't know you could. But those challenges are also what make us better. And I think ultimately it kind of helps you to lead the people around you because they see what you're able to succeed. You're leading by example, which ties into the first thing we were talking about. And you're doing the thing, you're not just talking about it. So I completely agree with you in the fact that, yeah, we should be a little bit more obsessive. We should be a little bit more observant, and we should be looking at ways to constantly improve ourselves. And one of those big things is kind of like, hey, put yourself through those rough waters and go through the discomfort. I was gonna ask you because I know you told me about your past and how you came from, I think it was Belarus, if I'm not mistaken. Or no,
Bulgaria.
Bulgaria. Bulgaria. I don't want to screw it up. But how, you had to go through that treacherous time and you had to go through like a really, really hard situation in order to get here and kind of get started on your journey. What did that process look like for you, man? And tell me more about the mindset you developed during that time, because you went through some crap, man. Like, I can't imagine that being simple. Like, I know we glossed over it last time, but what was that situation like for you?
You know what? If I tell you, it's gonna sound illogical and unreal. It was exactly the same as now. I was sleeping in a garage, no electricity, no water. Just had a surgery, hernia surgery.
Ugh.
Came back from the hospital next day after the surgery on a bicycle, and I slept there in that garage for a few days. I wanted to cry. I felt bad, felt horrible. There was no light in the tunnel, no whatsoever. But I had decided that I'm either gonna make it in my own way or I will die trying. And I have had it all accepted, you know. It's the same as now. I I was making small wins that, you know, seem stupid, but like buying a new phone that is like 100 quid just to have more battery, or, you know, eventually further having my first vehicle to have with me. This kind of stuff, they were feeling great, man. I was really happy. I was making progress. I saw myself as a small element launched on a trajectory for success, and I saw that element moving up. So I was, yeah, every single progress I was happy about, and I didn't allow myself to just feel too bad about it, to feel down. I was actually quite excited because I knew I'm gonna get out of this shit, and then I'm gonna tell the story, you know. You know, that's how I was feeling, and I had these big dreams. I wanted to make it. What changed is that the dreams just got bigger. I
Yeah.
learned that I can push much harder than I ever thought I can, and now there's no stopping me. It's you know, you can go through hell. You don't mind it. Give it to me.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
now I'm in peace. And then I found God as well, which gave me a lot of peace and a lot of joy in life. So I changed as a person a lot. But to your point, it started from being really obsessed to change the reality that I had and not end up living the same life for decades. That would have
Yeah.
killed me. Much worse. I couldn't live with myself if I didn't try. You know, the fear of regret, not trying hard enough. Oh, that thing that scares me shitless. It scares me a lot. Even now. If I have to do something, if I have to make an event, or whatever it is that I have to go through, and I know it's a challenge, I have that fear, man. What if I don't try not good enough and I don't make it and I fail completely because I didn't try it good enough? Oh, forget about it. I would rather not sleep than fail this way, you know, and
Yeah.
push limits. This is something I have. It comes from my childhood. Not sure if everybody has it, but if you can get it, if you can turn it up somehow, you know, there was a guy
Yeah.
speaking about you have something called drive in yourself. So gotta turn this thing up, and it's true. If you learn to turn it up, you can keep it on, man. When I go on my holidays, I allow to switch off, and then when I come back, I intentionally turn the
Turn it
beast mode
back
on.
on.
I
Yeah.
I really turn it on, and I'm not switching off. I don't allow people to distract me, things to pull me away. I have my list of tasks that will make me a high performer. That if I complete and I start working on them,
Yeah.
day one, I make some. Day two, I make more. Day three, I make a little bit more, and I get to the point where I'm on it, and I keep chasing that big dream, big dream, big dream. It's coming. It's getting
Interesting.
closer, and that keeps you excited. That's what I think is necessary for people to feel excited and to enjoy the whole journey and to get really obsessed. They have to really dedicate everything they have to for a big idea, for a dream. If there's nothing big and scary and exciting, you'll be always like a half in, half out.
Yeah.
This place, There's no high performance. There's no big dreams in the half in half out. There's nothing in there. It's a gray zone. You know, a semi comfortable zone. For me, it's gotta be a big goal, a big dream, and you put it all. And when you know that you have put it all, then you have the fear of losing it all, and then you have, the excitement because you're making progress, and it's a roller coaster full of emotions, and that's what I
Mhm.
call life. People who don't live this way, they they don't feel life the way I feel, and I
No,
know it.
yeah, yeah, I think you're 100% right about that. But the one thing that, I was thinking about the whole time that you were talking earlier, because there's a couple things. First of all, it's kind of like setting the small goals that then evolve into the big ones, right? And I kind of find that I'm like, that's super interesting because the way I kind of see it is like, at first you kind of knew that you had to stack these small wins. And then when you did, it's kind of like, okay, cool, let's make them bigger and bigger. And that kind of goes to the whole discomfort, looking for something bigger that you want to improve upon, right? Which I found to be very interesting. However, the one thing that I was kind of thinking in my mind about how you're like, yeah, you could turn that drive up. And obviously, that will definitely help you to go faster, harder in life. And I'm the same way, man. Luckily, it's kind of, and I say that now in a weird way where it's like, luckily, my childhood wasn't perfect. It was pretty, it was difficult at times. But I kind of find that those were the things and some of those factors that, as bad as they were, it helped to make me who I am. Right. And I kind of find that sometimes I don't want to say it's necessary because I don't think any kid should suffer. However, I kind of find that when you do, it kind of makes you a stronger person. And that's kind of why I was thinking about how and this is a hypothetical question, but if you hadn't had that situation where you were there post hernia after the operation, do you feel that you would still have that same drive? Or do you think that you'd be somebody completely different because you went through that extremely difficult time and it helped to mold you into who you are? Do you think you'd be the same person, or do you think that you'd be completely different?
Yeah, well, same as you. I'm totally grateful for the challenges that I had, and it wasn't a day, it wasn't 2 days, it was years of
Yeah.
this thing, and I'm grateful because first of all, I would have never learned what it is to really push myself in that to that extent. Um, that when I was going through this period, I actually first time achieved something that was great, not for me, it was for somebody else, but I actually did something that nobody believed I could ever do.
Mhm.
First time in my life, I experienced that feeling, and I realized that I actually can do it. Have proven to myself. There is a lot that this gave me. Yeah, same as you. I'm not saying everybody has to go through suffering, but if you have weaknesses, um, and you can identify them, they probably can be healed through pain. You have to grow. Either somebody has to teach you in a very good way, find a way to give you some lessons, inspire you. I'm sure there's a positive and good path for this, or you put yourself through hell, develop the character you need to remove the weaknesses, and then handle life. You know what? Once qualities as a human being, as a man, as we talk about men now, they're not set in stone and they can be changed. Unfortunately, a lot of guys say I am this, I'm weak at this, I'm not good at that, and or like my dad, I can't sell, or they just can't do something, and that's stopping them, and they say I
Mhm.
can't do it, so I'm not even thinking about it. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I mean, you, it's not the way to go. You have to
Yeah.
decide what you want from this life, and make sure it's something good, preferably helping other people as well on the way. But decide what you want. What qualities do you want to have? Do you need to have to achieve this dream? Which ones do you have? Which ones do you not have? And work on the ones that you don't have, and on the others, and build yourself up, man. Build the qualities. This is the foundations. Build a strong philosophy about life, and about yourself. Break yourself down if you have to, but figure it out, because if you're having issues with your discipline or weaknesses with this or that, with social communication, or with with self-belief, self-esteem, you gotta sort them yourself out. Your girlfriend won't sort them out for you. Your perfect job won't sort them out for you. None of
Mhm.
that will. It might make you feel like you're filling the gaps, or you might get high, you might take some drugs. We do that, especially guys. They go through these tough times when they're not fulfilled enough. Well, we'll have a spliff. Fair enough. That will make you feel like you're on top of the world, but the reality is you are actually fixing absolutely nothing,
Mhm.
making things worse by procrastinating, and issues piling up in your life. It's not gonna get easier, and in that case, pain is the answer. Suffering.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to suffer to grow. You have to sacrifice things. You have to go through hell to build yourself up. Mind changes, as you put it through other stuff, through hard work. It's going to change the way it thinks, the way assess, analyzes the world, accepts the challenges. There's a lot that happens in the mind. The fact is, it changes, and your character is not set in stone. Your weaknesses, your strength sides are not set in stone. Nothing. So yeah, it's a constant life of evolution if you want to get to that good place of balancing. It's accepting the responsibility of growing.
Yeah.
That's a big responsibility. You have to be growing all the time. It's nothing that stays still. You can't just reach a point and then live a life from there. I
Yeah.
don't believe in that. You're either growing or you're dying. If you stop, you're moving backwards, and you better know it, because
Yeah.
otherwise it's going to catch up with you, and you'll be, yeah, very much surprised.
No, I agree with you 100% because it's kind of like people talk about self-development a lot, right? And self-help and this, that, and the other. But it's interesting because what I see a lot is you look at these things, right? And they all sound very nice. They sound very pretty, right? But then until it comes actual time for you to start applying it and say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna put myself through some that difficult time. You're really never going to be molded by life. And it's one of those things where I find it very interesting because everybody wants to do it in the most comfortable way. But and the word that you said there that I've been thinking about, where I'm like, you're right. You got to kind of go through that suffering, you know, and that suffering is the most difficult part. But that suffering and that pain is what actually molds you into being the best version of yourself. And it's almost like we're looking for an artificial place or some safe way to not have to go through the suffering. But it's almost like you said before, you can't be half in, half out and expect, those full tilt results. There's just absolutely no way that it's ever going to work. And I find that for myself, like I said before, until you become obsessive in whatever it is that you want to do, whether you want to succeed as a doctor, whether you want to succeed as a lawyer, whether you want to succeed as a coach, it doesn't really matter until you master yourself and you go through the pain, the suffering of like, hey, you know what? I'm doing this and I'm making sure that it actually goes through and I follow through with it. There is no growth. And I think when there's no growth in this life, it's almost like, what's the point of living? You might as well be dead because if you're not learning, you're not growing, you're not doing anything about it, you're not going to go anywhere in life. But that being said, I'm not going to be here, just poo pooing and being negative. The one thing that I think I want to extract or get from you now is what would you do in this situation where, let's say, you're somebody that's got a comfortable life. You're not going anywhere really, but yeah, life ain't that bad. And you got a nice, comfortable job. You're not really growing anymore. What's one thing that you would recommend as a challenge for this person to just say, hey, you know what? Life's too easy. What would you recommend? What would you say?
This is the toughest place to be, man. If I'm honestly in that place, I might as well stay there as everybody else. I'll stay pretty stuck because it's too comfortable to move. And we've been there. We've been there.
Hmm.
It's a hard place to even realize that you have to actually do something or grow or go through pain. Um, so things that you can do is start some dedicate yourself to something at a higher level. Try to achieve something that's much greater, and see where this takes you. Is it a martial arts, or if you want to change something in your life, is that fitness? Is it business? Although you have it all figured out, then I guess if you, well, let's reverse back. The very fact that you want to get out of there and you're listening to this podcast, you probably already want it good enough. But for the people who don't want to listen, they're probably not going to listen even to what I say now. You got to identify why you want to do it, and basically make the goal that you want to achieve uh, as impactful as possible, as meaningful as possible. Get other people involved. Make other people follow you, or try to help other people. Promise them to help them. Put other people in the perspective and try to change their life as well. So you feel the responsibility of moving forward, and then you're not doing it for yourself only.
Yeah.
This can be your kids, can be your family, can be your country. There's a lot of you know good things that you can do about for the world, and it comes down to finding what and why do you want to do it. Right, we spoke about this last time. I don't know another way to get out of this situation.
Yeah.
The people I have as clients who have this comfortable life, they just want to keep going with the pace they want to go, and I almost can't change it. I try to inspire them through, we're going on retreats, or we're getting together. I am making a change in them slowly, but very, very slow. It's not with the pace I want. But
Yeah.
that's them. They've reached that point of comfort, so that's an achievement on its own. Maybe they want to stay there. It's an excellent question, but I can't give you a better answer. I'm sure there will be somebody out there that will come up and will say, you have to do exactly that, and you have to do exactly. And I'm sure I will respond, this is all bullshit, because it's not. I've tried to change people like that, and I've been there myself.
Yeah.
There's comfort, you'll stay there. Unfortunately, you need some pain or inspiration.
Yeah, no,
Either.
but that's kind of what I was looking for anyways, was your individual take on it, right? Because that's kind of what makes everybody so different is I could ask the same question to a million different people. I'm gonna get a million different answers. Which is kind of what I'm looking for. It's like, what is your take on it? And that's perfectly fine, man. And I think, you know what, everybody will develop at their own pace. And some people, you're right. It's kind of like when you get into that comfort zone, I think it's not a bad thing necessarily, right? I think
No.
for us though, it's kind of like you feel as though you're stuck. And that's kind of my biggest thing too. It's like I've reached my comfort zone at work. I don't really feel like I'm developing there. I don't really feel there's anything left for me to learn there. And for me, it's kind of like it's probably the most difficult situation because you go to work, you know what you're going to do. You know what the problems are going to be. You know how to deal with it. You know what the people issues are going to be because you deal with these people every day. It's the same thing over and over again. The redundancy of it. And I think it depends because you're right. It's kind of like for certain personality types, I find that they are necessary to the world because we need them to be in those roles. It's there's certain people out there that they're very happy, or here's the irony though, is there's certain people that are very unhappy and they hate their lives, but they go and do the same thing every single day. And they don't want to change it. They just want to complain about it, right? And I bet you've noticed that too, right? It's like I don't
Yeah.
want to change anything, but I hate it.
Yeah, I don't often meet people like that. I don't attract them, but I'm sure they're out there. I remember them when I was driving a cab in London. I used to get some of these a lot. I had a man who almost wanted to kick me out of my own car because I don't watch football. How can I not watch football? But yeah, to the point.
Oh
It's
yeah,
hard when you're
because
there, but we have our own ways. I personally have fears in myself. I have a fear that I will not fulfill the purpose that I'm here for on this life, on this earth, and I want to give every last breath I have to become the best version of myself and serve for whatever I'm here to serve for.
yeah,
And I believe living this way will find fulfillment because naturally, as you become more successful, as you're managing life well, you attract the good things towards you. People want to be with you, and then you get to pick who you want to spend time with, what girlfriend you want to have, what business do you want to have, because you're the boss. You're doing your own stuff, and that comes through basically really accepting and wanting to be the best. And here is your discomfort never goes away. You're always discomfortable because you always know that you you have to keep pushing. Even if you're on a having a little break, you enjoy the break at fullest, but you know you will be coming back and actually love this feeling. I love this
Hmm.
feeling. I
Yeah.
forgot what it is to feel totally comfortable. That was about 15 years ago when I was stuck in Bulgaria. I thought I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna be super rich. I didn't have big values or whatsoever, and I was just creating a big mess out of my life in there without even realizing, thinking that I'm a big deal and I'm gonna make it big. If if things didn't get as bad as they did, so I have to run away from the country and come here with 10 euros in my pocket, I wouldn't have changed. I would have
Yeah.
stayed there and be exactly the same today. Maybe a little bit different, but not much, which is
Interesting.
scary. Scary thought.
I think so. I mean, because it's kind of like Muhammad Ali said it best. He's like, if you look at a man 30 years down the road and he's the exact same man he was 30 years ago, he's
Uh,
done nothing with his life. It's like a wasted life. And I think that's 100% true because it's kind of like if there's no growth, no development, no nothing, in 30 years' time, 20 years' time, 10 years' time, 5 years' time, even a year's time, I find that I'm in the exact same boat as you because I think every single day is relevant to your growth, right? Every single day you could take something in, take something on, do something different, or you could just sit idle. And that's to me is the biggest fear because I'm in the same boat as you, man. Like I'm scared, man. I'm scared about of being the same situation that I've been in, for the past, year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, complaining about the same things because that's just a reflection of the fact that I haven't grown enough. I haven't changed anything. And I'm expecting the same place and the same thing and the same everything, which means there will be no growth, which means in 20 years, you're going to be in the exact same situation you were 20 years ago, which is horrible. Well, not necessarily horrible, but
no,
it's
it's
not where I
horrible.
want to be, right? It's kind of I want to grow, I want to change, I want to keep moving forward, and I can't do that if I just sit idle. And to your point, right, where there's no growth, you're sliding back because the world is moving forward, and if you're not moving forward with it or moving two paces ahead, it's like you're gonna be left behind, man. And I think there's no way that I'm like, not for my family's sake, man. Like, I can't quit on them. There's
Yeah.
so much work that needs to be done.
Let me share something with you that I heard on socials from someone. Forgot whom. I would quote him, but forgot his name. It was brilliant because it's exactly the way I think as well, and kind of resonated with me. When you look at people, there are three types of people in life in this category, and I think one of them would fit perfectly somebody who would be a masculine example of a great leader. Um, so there's these people that never change, which we spoke about. There's a big group of them, and there is a middle group as well that sometimes change, but based on a circumstance that happen in life, they don't necessarily have the drive, and you see them change from time to time in a good way. They improve because life pushed them to or something happened, and they just adapted to that, and then they stopped. And these are the people that grow because life pushes them to grow, but they don't really have that drive. And
Mhm.
then there is this other small bunch of people that you look at them every month or every other month, and they're always better. You speak to them, they're always talking about a better thing, what they've done next, what they have achieved more, and what now they're working towards. And every year they're different. Every year
Mhm.
they're different. And I'm pleased to say I think we both fall in this category, and I really enjoy my life because of this fact. Because my life is so much better. I'm growing. I'm excited, but I'm actually driving this train. It's not
Yeah.
happening on its own. And this type of people, they're the ones you want to be looking out for. You want to have these kind of beasts in your life. They will pull you up.
Yeah,
Definitely.
100%,
They'll
man.
push you, they will kick your ass if they have to, or they'll leave you behind, or they will leave you behind. So you have to catch up. So,
No, you're
definitely.
that's a very interesting take because I think first of all, it's true. It's true. There's certain people that, you're gonna look at it and be like, wow, like no change. There's certain people where it's like, hey, they adapt to the change and now they're good. They're just gonna settle there. And then there's people that are just constantly progressing. But the only reason why for myself, it's kind of like I had kind of switched jobs, right? And I was in a bad place. And I don't know why I was listening to Tony Robbins and he talked about the Kaizen principle, right? And that was the Japanese principle of always growing, always changing, always making it better if you can, right? And he called it the kanai, the constant and never ending evolution, I believe, of yourself, right? And that's one of those things where I just really take that to the bank. At first, for the first couple of years that I heard it, there was no change really. I just kind of heard it, yeah, yeah, might work on that eventually. And then what happens is I think that I guess I don't know, everybody's different, but for me, it just kind of like, I'll always go back. It's one of those things, right, where you hear something and no matter what, it always comes to your mind. You're just like, yeah, constant never ending evolution, constant never ending revolution. Okay, how can I make this better? How can I improve? How can I improve? And it's one of those things where it's just like, it's always in the back of my mind, man, where it's like, okay, you know what? Like, I can change this. And to your point, you're the one in charge of it, right? Which makes it so much easier, in my opinion, because now you're not leaving it to chance. I don't know about
Mhm.
you. When I was younger, I was, I guess, up until my mid 20s, I was just like, oh no, that opportunity is going to show up for me. That opportunity is going to show up for me. And somewhere after, I don't know, 26, I'm like, bro, ain't nobody coming. Nobody gives a shit about you, bro. Like, nobody cares. It's not happening. It's not coming. You got to figure this out. But at the same time, that's also what spurred my growth. Because before then, it was more like I had a very optimistic outlook on life, and I still do. But I'm also realistic now in that if I don't change it, nobody's gonna come change it for me, man. Nobody's gonna come save you. Nobody's gonna do anything for you. So it's almost like, wait a minute, I gotta start taking charge of my life. I gotta start working on things. I gotta start changing it. And for me, I think 2020 was one of those big years of self-reflection where I started a whole bunch of different things and I stuck to it. And that for me was the beginning of the evolution of who I was and kind of putting myself right through the grinder again, because I think before then I had kind of grown stagnant. But now, to your point, it's kind of like I discovered how good it feels to be the one in charge of my progress, to be the one that I can look at myself in the mirror now and be like, all right, there's some things I need to change. There's some things that aren't working, and I can continue to do this and be in this process every single day for the rest of my life. And that's one of the things where I'm like, no, I have to live my life like this because there's no way. And I refuse to just be like, you know what? I kind of made it this far. I'm good. I don't want to be that guy ever again. And I've been there. I've been that guy. So I
You know
agree.
that there is a certain belief that a lot of guys have, and that is um, a certain level of understanding how far can go. What I'm saying by that is they really don't have the full awareness of that their potential is limitless, and that is, if they don't stop, they will be always reaching new heights. Their mind almost can't take it. They tend to stick to a job or a project or something, an idea, for a month or two or a year or two or three or five, and then they want to quit. And I think it's very valuable for anyone who wants to build up this self-esteem, and really to build up this drive and to learn more about life, is to actually commit to something for a very long term, and to really try to go to the highest level possible on something. It could be a bloody game. I think it's still gonna work. Or it could be a martial art. It could be a job, a business. Try pick something that you're not going to quit. I think it's a very good advice, that
Hmm.
you're never gonna quit and you're just gonna take it to extremes, because you will learn a lot of lessons. You will learn lessons from the deep, waters of,
Yeah.
when you're really chasing something after years, and then these lessons are very valuable, and you learn that you can't stop and you're always progressing. And I see this in the gyms, in the park, when I train with guys. They they are scared of putting in the work and investing in the time. They look at other successful people, and we had this guy at the park. He probably now, if he listens, he will be then chatting some shit to me. But he was yeah, he was talking about these movie stars, how they've got it easy because they have nutritionists and they have the money and they have
Mhm.
everything, and he's completely ignoring the fact that these people put in their whole life on the line. They put everything they've got to get to this level. It's not because of the nutritionists, it's not because of the money, it's not because of any of that. It's because of their own dedication and consistency. And if that very person actually does exactly the same thing, he might find himself in a better place than his idols right now.
Boom. Yeah.
and and they don't know the power of their consistency. They're looking to further in 2 years time, and that seems for them like the another life. Man,
Yeah.
the time passes so quickly, and that's one of the valuable lessons you learn when you start chasing something and you want to reach the peak, because the peak will stay far from you, and you look back and you will be like, shit, 5 years have passed and I'm not there yet, and I thought I'm going to get there for 3.
Yeah.
So you learn it is a long journey, and the time flies fast, but you're actually still moving and you're very far away already. And you're getting to know that if you invest your time, your biggest asset, the right way, it will pay back almost regardless what age you are, unless something really disastrous happened to you. I mean, even if you're 50 or 60, maybe 70, maybe even 80, if you start doing something, you can reach pretty high levels, even at that age. And the guys out there, 20s, scared to do shit. And I was one of them. I
Yeah.
was exactly the same thing. And that that's yeah, that's something I wish I can just tell guys and they listen to me and they change.
Dude, that kind of reminds me of this one saying I heard. I forgot who said it, man, but it made me laugh because I'm like, oh man, it's true. Where they asked him, like, hey man, when's the best time to plant a tree? And he said, well, the best time to plant a tree was about 20 years ago. And he's like, the second best time is right now. And I was like, "Ooh, he's right. Why? Because you are going to see that tree grow, but it needs time, right? And you did not plant it 20 years ago, but you have the now. So why don't you just do it right now? You know, and that's kind of what it comes down to is that you cannot change the past, but you can change the now if you decide to. And I think any idea, any plan that anybody has, like a seed, and then you just water it. And the way that we water is with our thoughts, our emotions, our effort, our energy, but more than anything, to your point, it's the work that you put in. The work that you put in every single day is what's going to compound and what's going to lead to your success 20 years down the road. Because think about it, like you were talking about right there, and I think that's beautiful is that if you dedicate, like, let's say I take up Brazilian Jiu Jitsu tomorrow, never done Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I love it. I admire it. I would love to do it, right? Don't really have the time right now, but the thing is, for me, it's something that I love. It's a sport that I watch for fun. I'm just like, wow, it's super impressive, right? Let's say I decide to do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and let's say, I don't really have the time, but, I still try to do it at least once a week. Later on, what's going to happen? You're going to hang out there a lot more. You'll be like, oh, let's make it twice a week, then 3 times a week. Then a year goes by, and let's say you're doing it, I don't know, 3 to 4 times a week, you know, and let's say we just fast forward 10 years down the road, where let's say now you're a blue belt, you've competed, you've had a whole bunch of competitions, and then you look back and you're like, oh, wow, that all started with me actually walking into the gym and trying the thing out, and then me sticking to it consistently for 10 years, which has led me to the level that I'm at. Maybe I'm not a black belt yet. Maybe I'm not a black belt, right? But I can still say that, hey, you know what? I've learned a lot, I've developed a lot, and I've evolved more than I thought I could have. And it all just came from the simple step of, hey, I'm going to try it out and I'm going to stick to it. Those are two of the key things that I really think that everybody should take away from what you just said there is that it's super important for you to acknowledge the fact that I may not be as good as somebody who dedicates their entire life to this because I have a life outside of this, but you sure can achieve a whole lot if you give yourself the opportunity.
Yeah, and you will learn to value your goals, your objectives, because things will happen in life. You will have events, some good, some bad. You might change location, job, country. Anything can happen. And in order for you to continue doing the thing that you want to do, this jiu-jitsu, you're gonna have to find now a new place to train,
Hmm.
a new way to train, a new schedule. But just because you're committed, you're not going to quit. And this is the
Yeah.
skill. This is a skill that you can take, transfer right away in any area of your life. If you say you're gonna do something, make sure it's the right thing and just don't quit. Don't
Yeah.
quit it. And that's where you discover the pain. It's gonna come, and you will overcome it, and you will grow, and you learn, and this and that, and this is it. Not quitting, going through the whole journey of life. People coming to you asking you for shit that will pull you left or right, and you're saying no. I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna stick to my thing. You
Yeah.
know, with business happens a lot. The shiny penny syndrome is killing so many entrepreneurs every day.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I want to do this. I'm struggling. I've been having a hard period for a month, and then comes your best friend. You know what? I found the next big thing. It's gonna make money this month, and before they know it, they've dropped all the hard work they put in the last 2 years to chase
Yeah.
something which it's gonna come as to be exactly the same shit
Yep.
most of the time. And there's no skill development. There's no character building in that. It's you're literally letting yourself go the easy way out, and
Yeah.
then don't blame anyone else.
No, 100%, man. 100%. Peter, that is all for today. But I want you to let us know where we can find you and give us all those socials, which I'm still going to have in the description, but let us know where we can find you, bro.
Yeah, thanks for asking. It was great. It was really good. We had an interesting chat. And people, if they want to find me on Instagram, Peter underscore. Can you still hear me?
Oh,
Because
yeah,
my
yeah,
phone is crazy. Okay,
yeah.
Peter underscore online PT or on the web at pk.coach. Um, and yeah, you share the links on Facebook and all that.
100%.
Yeah.
100%, bro. 100%. All right. That being said, guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode. We'll see you in the next one. Peter, thanks again for coming, bro.
All right, man. Thanks. Thanks for hosting.